After the tragic shooting in Orlando, Donald Trump had some pretty Islamophobic things to say, especially considering the fact that the shooter was Muslim. Now, he wanted to demonize the entire Muslim community by alleging that they make excuses for one another and don't report one another if there are cases of extremism. In fact, his exact quote was, "They don't report them. For some reason, the Muslim community does not report people like this." So that is a common stereotype, a common talking point that you see among right-wingers when it comes to the Muslim community. But what is the truth? And what do people who work in the FBI, the CIA, and local police departments actually experience when it comes to the Muslim community? Well, recently James Comey released a statement, had a press conference actually, talking about this very issue, and here's what he had to say. So he's the FBI director, and he says they do not want people committing violence, either in their community or in the name of their faith. And so some of our most productive relationships are with people who see things and tell us things who happen to be Muslim. He continues to say, it's at the heart of the FBI's effectiveness to have good relationships with these folks. So, look, in terms of the rhetoric that you see in the media, it seems like we're pretty hopeless because there's so much Muslim bashing that you think, okay, well, our foreign policy and our even domestic policy is going to go nowhere if we just demonize all Muslims. We need them to work with us, right? Because if there's anyone in the United States that would be more aware of someone who's possibly radicalized, it would be members of the Muslim community. And so thankfully, the FBI is making it evident that they're aware of that and they're using the proper strategies to catch some of these fundamentalists. And I'll give you specific examples in just a second, but I wanted you guys to chime in.
Well, Donald Trump's just talking because he has lips right now. I mean, he has no basis for anything that he's saying, especially with this. And I can break it down to the simplest things. And we've seen this in television shows and things like that. When police have informants on TV shows and they're looking for a drug dealer or this cartel person, it's always someone on the inside. So I don't understand why it would be different in this case. If they're going to look for Islamic, terrorists and radicals, they would look at the good people that run these mosques and that are the good ones of the community and go to them and say, hey, who do you think is, going too far? Yep. Who's outspoken in that? Maybe I watch Law & Order SVU too much or any of these, police shows, but it's always someone on the inside. So I don't understand where he would get that from or why he would even, just say anything like that. But it's Donald Trump running his mouth, not knowing what he's talking about, inciting people, and everyone's like, yeah, and they don't know either. They're headline people.
Because, surprise, guess what? Not all Muslims are terrorists.
If they were, then all of us would be dead.
And,
1.7 billion.
Yeah. In fact, most Muslims in America want nothing. They want ISIS gone as much as we do. They, it's a stain on their faith, and they are as committed to ending this threat here and abroad as we are. So it is in their best interest, not just to protect themselves, but they want this gone too. And it's like. It's Trump. At this point, honestly, I can't even, justify anything he says because everything that comes out of his mouth is just something to incite the American public and to, rile us up and rile up his constituents and to just divide us even more.
Politicians do really well during an election when they fearmonger, okay? When you spread fear and paranoia, what happens to a sizable chunk of the electorate is they get scared, right? And they want to feel protected. And if you have someone like Donald Trump going out there and saying, I'm the tough guy and I'm going to protect you, even though he's never specific about any of his policy, whether it's domestic or foreign, people believe him and it drives me crazy. So here's the thing. A lot of people keep writing into us and they keep arguing, but we're not going to solve any of the problems if you identify what the problem is. And the problem is radical Islamic terrorism. Yeah, I agree. That is a problem. So what now, right? Same with Donald Trump's statements. What now? So what do you do about radicals, right? Like, what is his policy idea? Because there are never any policy ideas. It's usually just, we fucking hate Muslims, and that's it.
I love, did you see the president's statement about, he's like, if you think the reason that this is a problem is because we haven't said what it is, if we don't know what to call it, if you think that's the problem, that is insane. The last few weeks have been a huge turning point for my perception of Trump. This is a very important time because before I said, well, Trump just seems like the kind of person who sees an opportunity and postures himself a certain way to get what he wants. So I always thought this was just like a really savvy rhetorical play. I didn't think it was inherent racism. But over the last 2 weeks, I've discovered, no, he's he's just racist. And my evidence is this statement, as well as the statement about the Mexican judge. And it's a straight up projection of his own beliefs. Because he says what? A Mexican guy can't judge independently of a moral code or his job because he's Mexican. And in this one, Muslims can't turn in as extreme terrorists because they're Muslims. The only reason he thinks that is he can't think outside himself.
He can't.
He
And a
says
lot
that
of
these
people-
people bend rules and rig systems so that they can protect their own people. And why is that? Because if you look at Donald Trump's entire ethos, he's revealing that he breaks laws and rigs systems to protect his people. That's the only reason he sees the outside world as a threat, is because he's revealing not only what he's doing, not what everyone else is doing.
So let's give you guys a few specific examples in addition to other, basically heads of law enforcement organizations that are saying, no, we need the help from moderate Muslims to get these bad guys. Michael Downing is one of those people. Michael Downing is the deputy chief of the Los Angeles Police Department and head of its Counterterrorism and Special Operations Bureau. And he says that the city's Muslim community has been cooperative in reporting red flags. I personally have been called by community members about several things, very significant things. What we say to communities is that we don't want you to profile humans, we want you to profile behavior, which I think makes sense. Also, let me give you some examples in the past that have led to us catching some of the radicals. Suspecting that her then 17-year-old son, Ali Amin, was radicalizing, Amani Ibrahim followed the advice of a local imam and reported her fears to law enforcement officials. In August 2015, Amin was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Okay, so this person basically called the authorities on her own 17-year-old son because she was seeing questionable behavior. So again, look, this is all a roundabout way of saying in order to actually have a sound counterterrorism policy in place, you can't demonize innocent people and turn them into foes. You have to work with them in order to get the proper intel to catch the actual radicals.
Yeah, we've done so much positive work getting people to say, don't stereotype and profile people. And there are folks who just kind of turn away and don't engage because it seems like the prevailing sentiment is toward a more tolerant policy over time.
Right.
But now you have someone who just shows up and appeals to the worst instinct, which, and in doing so, in getting votes and approaching a splintered Republican establishment, was able to win an election. Right. And he's saying, it's all right. And all these people are like, you're right, it is all right.
And again, it's just like I said at the beginning, it's, we can't Brett and I can't go into a mosque or into a Muslim community and try to find out who has the radical behavior, if any at all. You have to have people on the inside. It's just, to me, it's common sense at this point. And, I hope the Trump supporters will wake up and actually have some common sense. Maybe they need a cup of coffee or something, or a little bit of anonymity. I don't know, but
they just need less fear mongering.
Yeah, it's very simple. You have to take the fear out of it. You sit back, take a deep breath, you evaluate everything, you understand the situations that's going on, and you make a logical decision on how to move forward.